everyone who brought requested items for Hurricane Helene relief, please meet Amira and myself in the parking lot after the service. Thank you very much. And now, Daisy.
Announcement. My name is David True. My pronouns are he, him. And this is the final in-service announcement for the Channing Memorial Church 2024 Auction Extravaganza. Incite thunderous applause. Thank you. I hope you have all had a chance to peruse the auction catalog that came out earlier this week. It is for the most part finished, but if you would like to update the write-up for your donation, let us know real soon now. Auction festivities shall commence this coming Friday, November 8th at 6 p.m. with the opening of the silent auction online on Octria and the fixed price auction items on the Sign Up Genius. The Venerable Eric Smith will be holding an Octria tutorial at 5:30 p.m. and a link to the fixed price auction items will be sent out shortly before 6. Then on Saturday, November 9th, we will have the live auction and dinner downstairs in the fellowship hall. Doors open at 5:30 p.m. Bring your appetites, your joy, and your lust for bidding. The silent auction will close on Sunday, November 10th at 6 p.m. Watch out for Reverend Jane in those final minutes. Counting should be done by the evening of Tuesday, November 11th. During coffee hour today, feel free to ask any questions of the person wearing this sign, and you can sign up for Saturday's dinner and live auction with a person wielding this clipboard. Each of those persons will be I. We now return to our regularly scheduled worship service.
Sorry, I was counting on one more round of that.
Sorry, you walked really fast.
That's why I need to turn my phone off. It's all good. We're all friends here. Let us enter into worship with the words of Reverend Gretchen Haley. We are all connected, stronger together, love's hands in the world, called to create justice, responsible for one another and the earth. What's going to happen? Will everything be okay? What can I do? In these days, we find ourselves too often stuck with these questions on repeat. What's going to happen? Will everything be okay? What can I do? We grasp at signs and markers, articles of news and analysis, Facebook memes and forwarded emails as if the new zodiac, capable of forecasting all that life may yet bring our way, as if we could prepare, as if life had ever made any promises of making sense or turning out the way we thought. As if we are not also actors in this still unfolding story. For this hour we gather to surrender to the mystery, to release ourselves from the needing to know, the yearning to have it all already figured out, and also the burden of believing we either have all the control or none. Here in our song and our silence, our stories and our sharing, we make space for a new breath, a new healing, a new possibility to take root. That is courage forged in the fire of our coming together and felt in the spirit that comes alive in this act of faith, that we believe still a new world is possible, that we are creating it already, here and now. Come, let us worship together. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit to join our voices in our opening hymn, number 54 in the gray hymnal, Now Light is Less. With words by Pat Uribe Litti, who writes, "We face a challenge to democracy, a challenge that calls us to hope in moments of despair, a challenge that asks us to persist in the faith that we can and must make a difference. May our flaming chalice recommit us to truth in our words and our actions, that we may live as we believe people should live." It is now time for our story for all ages. Is that coming through? Today our story is Voyage to the Sun. Some selections from this book, The Tao Te for Children. It's written by Ruth Ann Oskelkoff and illustrated by Joan Hunter Iovino. And this part you may have heard before, but it's a little introduction, so I will start here again. Who is Lao-tzu? Some time ago in a small town, A beautiful elderly woman who wore a flowing silk caftan came to visit the parents of two curious children. Her name was Lao-tzu. Her voice was soft like a song. The family sat in the garden beside the mint plants and old statue. The adults drank oolong tea and the children had lemonade. Lao-tzu had been to far-off places, seen war and peace, studied unusual things, made lots of friends. Lao-tzu and the children sipped their tea in the beautiful garden, talking of ordinary things. This is their story. The child who touches the whole world. The little girl got up and looked at the mint plant. A butterfly flew nearby and then fluttered away. Lao-tzu continued talking in her sweet voice. You children should know about laws, learn about wars and rules. That is okay. Remember, though, that imagination and love are more important. If you always hold to love and imagination, if you can be like this, the Tao will always be there for you. You will always be magical. You will be a hero. You will influence everything. All people. We need peace so we can live good lives. Children are required to go to school. Adults need to go to work. Everyone must have a house to live in, food so we can eat our meals. We all want to be happy. Some people see their enemies as only evil. The great teacher does not see that because all people have some good. It is sad when mean people hurt others because everyone has a light in their spirit. Everyone was once a little child. The big cities. When a city is overrun with the Tao, the buses run, adults go to interesting jobs, children play in parks, and people garden. When a city is not friends with the Tao, there are a lot of weapons and police. Mean people take over the government. People get afraid and stay inside. Lao-tzu said, to be afraid is the biggest mistake. No need to fight with other kids. There are other ways to deal with mean kids. If there is no way, sometimes it is better to go somewhere else and leave. It is sad to make an enemy. Fear is like a shadow you see from a passing car. Fear is not real. Thanks for listening. Please remain seated for our prayer hymn, number 134, and the gray hymnal, Our World is One World.
Wash
In the silence that follows the spoken prayer, you are invited to light a candle for any joys or concerns you hold in your heart this morning. We enter into prayer with these words of D.L. Helfer. Spirit of all that moves among us and through us, as elections near, help us to let love lead. Help us recognize that polarization can also be understood as passion, passion to build something better that holds all of us at the center. Help us to imagine and to foster a world in which we listen more than we talk, where our priority is to learn as much as teach, a world in which we find ways to connect across the chasms of difference, making space for revelation to emerge. Spirit of love, help us turn toward love with the world, with each other, with ourselves, all the same thing at its core. Let us extend grace within our movements and between our movements, less sure, more curious, wondering together what is possible. Spirit of all that is open and hopeful, guide us in building a larger tent, not solely Republican or Democrat, independent or uncommitted. Let us learn too from our ancestors, from generational pain and generational survival, the movement of generations building across difference, something better, larger, more encompassing that can hold us all. Let us be not just flags, potent though they are in declaring our beliefs, and yet impeding our ability to recognize humanity across differences. Spirit of hope, spirit of all that is yet possible, lead us away from the false separation that the only truth is ours, that anything less is incomplete. Lead us instead into the discomfort of learning from youth, young adults, activists, elders, those we cherish, those we find wanting. Lead us to the love that holds us all and is with us always, the love that can help us through the messy and necessary life-altering work of building movements across beliefs, across difference, for change that can endure. May it be so, and amen. light a candle for the joys and concerns of those beloveds joining us virtually, and I light a candle for all else that we hold in our hearts this morning. If your heart is hurting, know that your community is here to help, as is Reverend Ching. Please reach out with any needs. We Make It Possible by Jessica Lynn. I come on Sunday feeling weary, having worn out the snooze button on my alarm clock. I come on Sunday feeling frightened, having seared my eyes reading the latest news. I come on Sunday feeling burdened, having fretted about my workday worries. But I leave Sunday service feeling refreshed, having been renewed by the spirit of love and the community that exists here. I leave Sunday service feeling whole, feeling lifted up by the words of righteous challenge. I leave Sunday service feeling energized, ready to continue our fight for peace and justice. This haven, this refuge, this place of worship and wonder exists because we make it so with our contributions, the gifts of our time, our skills, our food, our love, our laughter, and our money. Please join me in giving so that we may continue to have a place that fortifies and challenges us in these trying and troubled times. For those of you watching the service online, you may contribute to a virtual offering plate using the donate button on our website or by mailing a check to the church office. The gifts of the congregation will be most gratefully received. Concerns, we give thanks. Hear this wisdom of Lao-tzu, found in the back of our hymnal as reading number 604. Those who would take over the earth and shape it to their will never, I notice, succeed. The earth is like a vessel so sacred that at the mere approach of the profane, it is marred. And when they reach out their fingers, it is gone. For a time in the world, some force themselves ahead and some are left behind. For a time in the world, some make a great noise and some are held silent. For a time in the world, some are puffed fat and some are kept hungry. For a time in the world, some push aboard and some are tipped out. At no time in the world will one who is sane overreach, overspend, overrate. Chapter 53 of the Tao Te. The great way is easy, yet people prefer the side paths. Be aware when things are out of balance. Stay centered within the Tao. When rich speculators prosper while farmers lose their land, when government officials spend money on weapons instead of cures, when the upper class is extravagant and irresponsible while the poor have nowhere to turn. All this is robbery and chaos. It is not in keeping with the Tao. Please rise in body or spirit to join our voices in hymn number 1031 in the teal hymnal, Filled with Loving Kindness. We will listen once through as Gabby and David play the melody one time. Then we will sing all three verses. May I be filled, may you be filled, may we be filled. The Tao Takes on Politics. I wrote this title in my sermon with tongue-in-cheek. The irony in my title is that Taoism, as a matter of principle, doesn't enter into conflict. Thus, it doesn't take on politics or any opposing force in that aggressive, confrontational sense of the word. And yet, the Tao does have a take on politics. It does try to inform governance. It does include strong opinions about what makes a good leader. In fact, this summer, when I studied Stephen Mitchell's translation of the Tao Te Ching for my auction sermon on how ancient Taoism applies to modern times, I was struck by the number of writings where the author, Lao-tzu, focused on governance and leadership. This sacred text does not shy away from secular matters of politics. Thus, I thought it would make a fruitful sermon topic for this Sunday before the election. So, here you have it. Before our deep dive into the Tao's take on politics, I'll warm us up with some tidbits to consider at election time. Success is as dangerous as failure. Whether you go up or down the ladder, your position is shaky. When the country falls into chaos, patriotism is born. And from today's reading, here's something heavier and decidedly political. When rich speculators prosper while farmers lose their land, when government officials spend money on weapons instead of cures, when the upper class is extravagant and irresponsible while the poor have nowhere to turn, all this is robbery and chaos. It is not in keeping with the Tao. One section of our story for all ages highlighted the view that cities run smoothly when they are filled with the Tao. In chapter 39 of the Tao Te Ching, Lao-tzu waxes poetic on this topic, emphasizing his view that human intervention is often detrimental. In harmony with the Tao, the sky is clear and spacious, the earth is solid and full. All creatures flourish together, content with the way they are, endlessly repeating themselves, endlessly renewed. When man interferes with the Tao, the sky becomes filthy, the earth becomes depleted, the equilibrium crumbles, creatures become extinct. The master views the parts with compassion because he understands the whole. His constant practice is humility. He doesn't glitter like a jewel, but lets himself be shaped by the Tao, as rugged and common as a stone. In chapter 75, Lao-tzu puts a finer point on it with this hands-off view of government. When taxes are too high, people go hungry. When the government is too intrusive, people lose their spirit. Act for the people's benefit. Trust them. Leave them alone. Now, before jumping to any conclusions about how Lao-tzu would vote, let's hear his take on what makes a good leader. At election time, our minds are focused on what types of leaders we want to have running our country, our states, our courts, and our school boards. Lucky for us, Lao-tzu has advice about what to look for in our elected officials. When the master governs, the people are hardly aware that he exists. Next best is a leader who is loved. Next, one who is feared. The worst is one who is despised. If you don't trust the people, you make them untrustworthy. The master doesn't talk, he acts. When his work is done, the people say, "Amazing! We did it, all by ourselves." In our Story for All Ages was a chapter titled, "The Child Who Touches the Whole World." To quote that chapter, if you always hold to love and imagination, the Tao will always be there for you. You will always be magical. You will be a hero. You will influence everything. Love and imagination. This view of leadership calls to mind our newly formed Unitarian Universalist motto, love at the center. Another chapter in our Story for All Ages emphasized the importance of peace. We need peace so we can live good lives, it said. Peace is a central tenet of Taoism. Given some of the current political rhetoric, it seems important to include this writing on the topic. Weapons are the tools of fear. A decent man will avoid them except in the direst necessity, and if compelled, will use them only with the utmost restraint. Peace is his highest value. If the peace has been shattered, how can he be content? His enemies are not demons, but human beings like himself. He doesn't wish them personal harm, nor does he rejoice in victory. How could he rejoice in victory and delight in the slaughter of men? Circling back to the Story for All Ages, I quote, "You children should know about laws, learn about war and rules. That's okay. Remember now, though, that love and imagination are more important. Remember, love at the center." Some of Lao-tzu's teachings are hard for me to believe, or hard for me to apply given our current political climate. Here's one that I struggle with. The generals have a saying, rather than make the first move, it is better to wait and see. Rather than advance an inch, it is better to retreat a yard. This is called going forward without advancing, pushing back without using weapons. There is no greater misfortune than underestimating your enemy. Underestimating your enemy means thinking that he is evil. Thus, you destroy your three treasures and become an enemy yourself. When two great forces oppose each other, the victory will go to the one that knows how to yield. When two great forces oppose each other, the victory will go to the one that knows how to yield. Is that really the case? If I yield, won't I just get bulldozed over? What about standing your ground? Underestimating your enemy means thinking that he is evil. This ties in with the Story for All Ages concept of seeing the light in everyone, the idea that even our enemies have some good in them. I must say it can be challenging to believe this in our polarized times. But Lao-tzu goes on to say, when you see your enemy as evil, you destroy your three treasures and become an enemy yourself. As a little refresher from my summer sermon on Taoism, your three greatest treasures are simplicity, patience, compassion. Okay, well, that is a good reminder. Maybe I can step back and put my focus back on those ideals. Simplicity, patience, compassion. Maybe I can put love at the center. Another topic from the Tao that seems to speak to this election season is that of fear. To quote our story for all ages, to be afraid is the biggest mistake. Fear is like a shadow you see from a passing car. Fear is not real. Seriously? Fear is not real? It feels pretty darn real to me these days. But Lao-tzu explains it this way. When a country is in harmony with the Tao, the factories make trucks and tractors. When a country goes counter to the Tao, warheads are stockpiled outside the cities. There is no greater illusion than fear. No greater wrong than preparing to defend yourself. No greater misfortune than having an enemy. Whoever can see through all fear will always be safe. Okay, I can see the value in thinking this way. Still, this can be difficult to accept when times feel so dangerous. I'm tempted to think that Lao-tzu didn't know about candidates like we have now. But then I realize that dangerous leaders can crop up at any time and in any country. I think it has taken us by surprise that it has not only cropped up in our time and our country, but that it has taken root. It's hard not to be afraid of what feel like very real threats to our democracy. So here's some more advice from the Tao. Make of it what you will. Throw away holiness and wisdom, and people will be 100 times happier. Throw away morality and justice, and people will do the right thing. Throw away industry and profit, and there won't be any thieves. If these three aren't enough, just stay at the center of the circle and let all things take their course. Well, like I said, some of this is hard to swallow right now. Industry and profit, okay. I can understand the desire to throw away those potential barriers to right living. But morality and justice, holiness and wisdom, if anything, it seems like we need more of those right now. So maybe in this instance, the Tao really doesn't apply to our circumstances. Nonetheless, I'm trying to keep an open mind, to try to trust people to do the right thing, to stay at the center of the circle, and to keep at that center love. I find myself particularly antsy to know the outcome of this election. Given the volume of mail-in ballots, it seems like it could be quite a while before we know the results. I sense the need to prepare for the aftermath regardless of the results. Through this discomfort, I feel as if Lao-tzu is holding my hand with this guidance. Do you have patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving until the right action arises by itself? Elsewhere, he advises, express yourself completely, then keep quiet. Open yourself to the Tao, then trust your natural responses and everything will fall into place. Here I feel as if Lao-tzu is telling me, cast your vote and then let go of trying to control the outcome. It feels appropriate that this sermon and the election itself falls between our Soul Matters themes of deep listening and repair. This past month and in months past, we have been listening intently to candidates, listening to their positions on issues that matter to us, listening for policies that make sense to us, listening as they tell us who they are. If we're wise, we're also listening deeply to different voters, particularly to those who will vote differently, striving to understand their alternative perspectives, their hopes, their dreams. It is this kind of deep listening that will go a long way leading into repair in the month of November and in the months to come. For no matter the outcome of this election, there will undoubtedly be need for repair. Whether we enter this repair work feeling victorious or defeated, whether we enter this repair work feeling fearful or hopeful, let us enter this work with humility and curiosity. Let us enter this work with our three treasures intact: simplicity, patience, compassion. Let us enter this work with trust in ourselves and with love at the center. May it be so, and amen.
Amen.
I invite you to rise again in body or spirit to join our voices in hymn number 10 in the great hymnal, Immortal Love.
Free.
Let us leave in the spirit of the Tao as we go forth and cast our ballots, expressing ourselves completely. May we let go of fear and what is out of our control. May we trust ourselves and face the coming days with our three treasures of simplicity, patience, and compassion, holding steady with love at the center. Go in peace and amen.